So, welcome back to the Sharon Fitzmaurice podcast. And my guest today is a wonderful lady who I've known for the past few years, an accomplished Irish book publisher and founder of Orla Kelly Publishing. Orla has guided hundreds of clients through the self-publishing journey over the past 10 years, myself included, helping them craft professional, high-quality books that resonate with their readers. Orla's passion for her work and personalized approach ensures that every book she publishes reflects the unique voice and vision of its author, and I am testament to that. Orla, you are very welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Sharon. I feel I need to elevate my throne a bit higher after hearing all those accolades. Can I go now? I think my job is done.
I love it. And it's interesting, isn't it, Orla, and I always say this to people, when we have to write a bio or say something about ourselves, it's hard to just fit it into one or two paragraphs. So that brings us on to how people want to, write their story or write their unique message to their readers, and how some people find it quite hard or challenging. And that's where you come in. But we're going to go into that in a moment. We're going to find a little bit more about Orla Kelly herself. Orla, you're from County Cork.
Yes, I am. I'm from Cork, and if you were to say to me 10 years ago I would be a book publisher, I'd probably have laughed because it would never have been something I would have ever considered, not even entertained. It was chalk and cheese, I suppose, from my past life, really, as working in environmental consultancy. And really, it was really only when I had my own children that suddenly they're not interested in your job as an environmental consultant. You need to tell stories. You need to play games. You need to live in the world of imagination. And facts and figures and statistics and reports don't cut it when you're a mother, like, at all.
No, it's amazing, isn't it? And that's again, even in your own story, Orla, it's fascinating how, and I'm sure you've met through many of the publishers or the authors you've worked with, that they have had lots of different journeys and routes through where they are. And now, when they find themselves writing this story, it's actually looking back and going, oh my God, I've done so much, I've achieved so much. And none of it was wasted, and it's all lent itself to where I am today and my unique message. So even your work, going back, I'm sure that helped you in organization skills. And as you said, even with the facts and figures, because you have to have that also when you're helping somebody, don't you?
You do. So, I mean, just like education's never wasted, life experience is never wasted. I mean, it's up to us, I think, to take the best out of all aspects of our life.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's so much learning in the bad times as the good times. And I think probably the bad times have taught me more humility, compassion, understanding, patience that I would not have learned in the good times.
Yeah.
And I think particularly during COVID, I was probably at my busiest as a publisher because all we had was time. Time was on our hands. So people got their books finished. It kept people distracted in a positive way. And I think we all just kind of held each other together, really. Um, it was living in the slow lane for all of us. And I think there's lessons there for all of us as well. And also me working with different people, I never knew what was going on in their lives. They didn't know what was going on. My mother-in-law was dying from COVID. My husband had gone up to take care of her. He ended up getting seriously ill, so they were all in isolated, and me having to tell my children, Granny is really sick and she's not going to live, and Dad is after catching it now, but look, he's going to be fine. And having the conversations you never think you'll be having, and trying to not normalize it, but trying not to make them terrified, and but
Mm.
trying not to make yourself terrified when you're having to go through this, because it's not just us, it's everybody, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. And again, I know that many people that I chat to here on the podcast and in general, Orla, and again, COVID was that moment in time where everyone stopped.
Mm.
And I had a lady on last week, Sinead, who's living in America, and she said, and she was a retired history teacher, and she said, in years and years to come, they're going to look back as COVID as a period in history where it changed the world.
It did change the world, and I think for a lot of people they had to relearn how to live with each other in a closed space. you
Mhm.
know, and even now on my phone, memories come up and I go, wow, yeah, I remember that. And we're all together in those pictures, which is great that we normally mightn't be. But it does, like, I think we have definitely learned an awful lot about ourselves during that time. And I think traumatic as it was, and it's a lesson nobody needed to learn, I think it's really reinforced for me what I do and also for others. I think any books that got published during COVID, they were just so thankful. People said to me, thank God it was the one good thing that came out of this horrible, horrible time, because it kept them distracted and they had something that they could achieve during this time, you know.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful, and books are amazing. As obviously everyone that loves books, and I think there isn't a person in the world who hasn't picked up a book at some stage, and that somebody's story or message hasn't inspired them. And you're working and have worked with so many amazing authors and seen all sides of life, from the professional, wanting to get out their message, to the person that's writing a children's story. That is another beautiful message for all children of the world. That it goes from, say, the what you just spoke about, the creativity, the imagination, but even in the high professional thing, there has to be an amount of creativity and imagination also, Orla, doesn't there?
There does. Even for, like, sometimes people, they're brilliant at what they do and they feel, no, I couldn't write a book, or, oh, people think we just because you say, you tell your story, be authentic, that they feel that they have to sell their soul. You don't.
Mm.
You have full control over what you want to disclose and how you disclose it. And working with somebody, I think, who will understand that, who won't try and exploit it, or have you maybe write things that you're later going to regret, but the damage is done because it's out there. I'm very mindful of what I do, and I will not publish a book if I feel it will leave either the person, their family, or literally anyone who reads it in a worse situation. Because I feel, in addition to me, this is my work, I feel I have like a moral onus on me, but not just moral. I think it's bigger than that, because we're all here for a purpose. And if my I would feel absolutely destroyed if I felt that something I did could cause something negative. I want it to be like a ripple of positivity, and I
Mm.
want to feel every book I publish will transform the world to a better place. So I am very mindful of those I work with to support them every step of the way.
I love that. I love it. Even when you're talking about it, you want it to transform the world. And the books can do that, the person writing the books, but with the right support. And again, as I talked about my own personal experience with Orla, it was, you are just very hands-on, you're readily available, and again, I always say this, you might think it's the silliest question, but again, you can say it to Orla and she won't think it's silly at all. She'll say, oh, that's a really good question, and how would you know the answer to it? I know the answer though, and this is how we'll work through it. So again, it's having somebody that's nearly like your confidant, because before you put that book out to the world, you're sharing your story with somebody else. And maybe it's the first time, especially if it's a memoir, or even if it's a professional message, that you're getting out there for future clients. You want to see what somebody else thinks of it, that's not attached to you emotionally, through work or family, and have somebody looking, almost standing back, being the observer, but actually telling you compassionately, but also in positive critique, that's good, but you could elaborate, or you don't need to elaborate, or maybe you should add this in, and what about, and they give you suggestions. And that's one of the really positive things I think about having you as that support, and the person with the expertise that knows exactly what the reader is going to pick up from this, but that they may need to add in a little bit more. You are a brilliant support in that, Orla.
I suppose it's one of the things I feel I offer the most value, that I'm not just a publisher. I have my clients back. So I'm always thinking about them, what's best for them, to have them, presented in the best possible way, but in a very authentic way, in a way that builds relationships, builds engagements. and shows why they are the natural person that somebody would want to go to work with, that somebody would want to read their story. But I'm also thinking it from the reader's perspective, because again, if a reader's deciding whether to read a book or not, or buy a book or not, you only have a few minutes to grab their attention. So if you have all the best content of your book later, or the story's brilliant later, what you need to get into it, you may not be given that grace, from the reader. So again, I'm all about making sure that the content is not just the best content, but it's structured the best way for all of
Mm.
my clients in getting their message out there. And since I'm starting to do that, the response is overwhelmingly positive, because I'm opening people's eyes, because they're so close to it, but they're knowing that I have their back, I have their best interest at heart. So, they know that when I'm suggesting something, it's from my experience working with 10 years of books, to know
Mm.
what works and what doesn't work and why. And it's having a really, really positive result for my clients now.
That is brilliant, Orla. It really is. Because again, and I've said that to you before, there's many people I know that would like to write, their story and how it has helped them, and especially in the wellness world that I work in, and many of them have come through their own experiences, good and not so good, and it has led to where they are today, and they love to share that. So in the book Awaken Your Wellbeing that we published, actually, during COVID time, it was your support, and there was 14 different authors in that book that we brought out. So you had some job on your hands because, as Orly said, a lot of them had never written. They had never shared their story publicly, and they weren't sure where to start and what to do. So when it came to submitting the stories to Orla and the editing, you had it was how to put all of those stories together in one book as well, Orla. That was some feat.
It is, because I suppose different authors have different skill sets. Even some business professionals I work with are brilliant at what they do, but they're not great at writing. So
Mm.
sometimes I actually have to interview them and get the content, transcribe it, and put it back into the book. And it's amazing when they talk it out, it comes out in their natural language, whereas they may come across as quite academic and aloof in the content of the book, and nobody wants to read an academic textbook at all. So I'm trying to bring back the human element. And I know people say, oh, well, I can get AI to write my book. But like, do you really want to outsource your brain to AI? Fine, use it for brainstorming, but only for brainstorming. You have a beautiful gift here already. Use it, and people want to work with people. So, I always feel, don't be afraid to share your story,
Mm.
because again, in your vulnerability, there is strength. In your
Mm.
honesty, there is strength and compassion. And it's what people will draw to you,
Yeah.
they will want to work with you
Because
completely.
again, at the end of the day, as you said, opening, the book for the first time and reading that first few pages, you're connecting not just with the words, with the person, and you have an idea of what they're feeling, what they're experiencing as they start to describe whatever it is in the book. And it is the person. So it's when you're talking about AI, I'm sure it can write it perfectly for you in all grammar, everything, and the perfect way it should be, but it's not coming from a human aspect. It's not coming from their heart. So again, for me, and it's like you said, it's heart, it's compassionate, it's connecting with another person that may be going through or has experienced a similar journey to you, and they need someone that has lived the experience to help them so that they know maybe I can get through this, or what helped you so I can go and do this. And again, no matter what role it is in life and what profession, everybody's looking to somebody else as a mentor or a guide, just as we look to you, for the support in the editing and the publishing, because we can't be good at everything and we shouldn't have to be. That's why we have
No,
experts like
no.
you, Orla.
Yeah, because I mean, I outsource things as well, and I'm working on a charity collaboration now for an international charity. And there's a girl there, and she's going to be almost like the book coach, to help people through the writing process. Each person's writing a chapter. And this is great because it means I can focus on the publishing, what I do best. Because, otherwise, I have learned not to try to do too many things, because one, I get overwhelmed, I get burnt out. I'm only human as well, So now I'm just focusing on more where I work best and deliver the best the best value. But it is almost acknowledging, like even for me, that I need help sometimes and I need to outsource and I need to let go of this control that I often feel I need to do everything. But like we're not going to get awards for being superhuman, or
No.
thinking we're superhuman, you know?
No, and again, that's why I said there are people out there around you, and if you find the right people to support you, it's almost as you said, it takes the overwhelm and the stress out of it, and you put all of your energy and your best energy into doing what you do best. And again, I think we all need to learn that lesson in life, Orla, is that we need support from time to time, and we don't have to do it all. Whether that is just being a mammy at home or a daddy at home, or it is running a company with thousands of staff, or it's sitting down for the first time to say, I want to write my story. I know I have something to share, but I don't even know where to start. And then, of course, the judgment and the fear and the self-doubt comes in, and you go, oh my God, who do I think I am to write a book? And sure, who'd want to read this? And sure, I was no good at school writing, or I was whatever. And they have them talk themselves out of it. And like you, I would say to everyone, just try. Just put down the notebook and the pen and sit for a minute every day and write a few lines and just see what's important to you and what you can develop from that. But what's lovely is you don't have to do that on your own either, because Orla has beautiful programs that can help you every step of the way. Tell us about them, Orla.
I work with clients in so many different ways. Some of my clients, English isn't their first language. They're neurodiverse. They have lots of things going on in their life. And I work with all different people in all different ways. It's very much down to what person most needs from me. Yes, I do have a writing program that's starting again after Christmas. It's going to be 10 weeks long, and it's write your, non-fiction book in 10 weeks. I have that, but I also have clients, because a lot of the feedback I was actually getting even from the first round that I've run is a lot of people want one-to-one support, and they would prefer to work with me more one-to-one in helping them write I suppose, their non-fiction authority building book. Others come to me, they want to write their memoir, but they need the support and the guidance to do that. I have beautiful children's authors who work with me, and poets, and massively creative, inspirational people. I'm so blessed to have a diverse range of clients. And also, I suppose, my business clients, then they may have their book written, but really, when I go through it, it's not where it needs to be for them to be seen as an authority and a leader in their field. And I'm working with them on restructuring the book and then publishing the book. So again, I'm very much about, building nurturing relationships with all of my clients so that they don't feel they're on a conveyor belt,
Mhm.
that really we work at their pace, because it's a process, and different people bring out work in different ways, and sometimes they work in spurts of creativity and sometimes it's less creative. And I am not there with the come on, come on, come on. I'm not like that, because some of my best work comes out when I take a break, and
Mhm.
then suddenly this guidance comes to me, and then suddenly I'm back in the zone again. So
Mhm.
I'm conscious we all work differently. But I suppose the best way is I am very open to, I suppose, receiving whatever I need to receive from my clients in terms of how I can best help them. I never know until I start working with somebody.
Mhm.
And sometimes something will come to me and it may not have come to me before that. And I'm very lucky that it's always good. And I think a lot of it is because I filter out an awful lot of negativity that's around me. I don't watch the news.
Mhm.
I have this belief that if I'm to know something, it'll be there on the car radio if I'm turning it on, or I'll hear it in passing, or it'll come up my feed. And people think I'm living in la la land, but I'm not, because it would actually weigh me down so much. I would feel paralyzed by fear, and and everything. And I know my weaknesses, but I also know my strengths. So, I need to keep my mind, I suppose, as you know, as free as possible when I'm working with my clients, so I don't have a million thoughts coming in and out that's sabotaging me. And by sabotaging me, I would be sabotaging my clients. So I'm very careful on, what I watch and what I allow it to come in here.
Mm. So that's again for me as a wellness practitioner and mindfulness teacher, I can hear it's that being mindful, of what I always say it's like putting a load of junk food in front of you and just gobbling it into your mouth. Whereas mindful, if you sat in front of you and said, okay, I can eat a little bit of healthy stuff, but I can have a little bit of the junk if I really want it, but I'm going to be mindful about it. We're doing the same things when we're feeding our brains, aren't we? Just mindlessly watching stuff that is having an impact on us, that is making us fearful, making us worry, make us live in fear, or we can choose what we're going to allow into our mind and to give ourselves, I love that, Orla, giving ourselves the space to have freedom to allow good things to come in. And that
Mhm.
when you're working with your clients, that you are focused, so you can have clarity and help them with direction. I love all of that. And I think that's not just in your role, in my role, but in many roles where, again, leaders in their field are sometimes we come back to the control and they want to control all aspects of everything without delegating or asking for support in the right places. And that's where in their book that message could be is even by asking for support from the lovely Orla Kelly, it's allowing themselves to say, I don't have to be brilliant and in control of everything, that there is somebody that is an expert in their field that is going to guide and support me. And the same way with people that have never picked up the pen or thought of writing, that their story is as good and as important as the person that's running the company or that has written 20 books before that. Isn't it true, Orla?
It's true. And, it all starts with a conversation because I find a lot of people come to me and they don't know what questions to ask me. They don't know what's involved. And unfortunately, they can also be conned into thinking that they need to go X, Y, or Z, or they're maybe given some misinformation or they're hearing things. And unfortunately, I suppose my business is Orla Kelly Publishing. So there's no hiding. I am my name. And there are unfortunately sometimes people come to me and they've had bad experiences elsewhere or they've heard horror stories. And all I can do is try to be just consistent every day. If I could be consistent every day, you know, so that at least they know that what I'm telling them is the right information. And sometimes, you know, I will tell them things and they will, I never knew that, or why wasn't I offered that option before with somebody else? And I just go, well, look, I can't answer that. All I know is that I give you all the information and I support you in making the decision that works best for you. And I have to be, because I have to put my head on the pillow at night and sleep well, knowing that I just did the very best for whoever I work with that day. And even those I don't work with, I hope they've gone away empowered to know that they have been given the right information going forward, should they use it or not.
Yeah, I think that's so lovely, Orla. And again, because I personally worked with you, I know that you're speaking the truth. You're not just selling the idea of it. I know for a fact that you can have like the most grounded conversation with you. And again, like that, asking questions, that we may think are silly or irrelevant, but they're actually very important because if you're thinking about them as the author or worrying about them, then it will affect, your writing or what you're putting into it. And Orla then can help ease those fears and worries, by giving you ways to work around it or with it or whatever is that's best. So, as I said, when Orla could work with 14 different therapists, all going into the same book, I absolutely said I will forever, first of all, be grateful to her, but always recommend her because she wasn't just working with me as we had done in previous books, but this one was, I was asking her a lot. I was asking her to work with 14 different people. And you were so patient and you were so compassionate and so generous with your time and your expertise that everybody that wrote their chapter in that book, Awaken Your Being, all came back and said you were lovely and very helpful.
Oh, thank you. That, do you know what, that means so much to me? And even now, what I do, which I think my clients love, is that I'm, as you know yourself, I'm very responsive. I could be walking around the house and I could see a client could send me a WhatsApp message or a voicemail, and I could be out walking my neighbor's dog and I'm just voicemailing them back. And it's just that human touch, that human connection, that they don't have to wait or fret or get stuck. that they have me, and it's not me being stuck at my computer. I could be walking around and I'm leaving a
Mm.
little voicemail, or don't forget to do this, or I send you an email there and just get back to me. And it's fantastic because it means we have a very fluid, connected
Mhm.
relationship. And I do find it makes all the difference to know that, that you're not just somebody that's just part of a job, but that you actually have a really good relationship with the person you're working with, and it's like we're working together, really. They're not working for me, I'm not working for them. It's a co-partnership, and I think that's what makes all the difference.
It's lovely. And especially if somebody is writing their memoir and they're sharing their story, as I did, and the other therapists, a lot of them shared their personal stories for the first time. And again, that fear of people knowing about, their private life, which they had kept secret for so long. But even the healing in doing that for themselves, whether they wanted to publish it or not, in the end, they all chose to. And they put that out there. Again, you made them feel comfortable enough and respected them enough to say, only put in what you want to put in and disclose what you want to put in. But that when it was published, and the response was huge, because we did that not only to share the awareness of our therapies, as you know, but it was to raise money for Galway Simon Community. And within the first year, we had raised €10,000. So by them sharing their story and sharing their knowledge and expertise, not only helping all the readers, but then went on to help prevent homelessness in the west of Ireland. I mean, the reward of that alone, Orla, is amazing. And that you helped every one of us to do that, because I was thinking it was an idea in my head, and I thought, how would I ever manage this on my own? You couldn't. There's no way I could have ever done it on my own, because again, I wasn't the expert in the field. You were. So you were the first person I said, here, Orla, what do you think about this? Is it possible? And you said, absolutely.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I loved working the book, and again, it just shows you this book keeps giving and giving and giving, and every one of those authors, as you say, most of them never had published before. Now they can say, I'm a published author
Yeah.
of a very successful book. That is and it's also lead generation for their business, because all their contact details are there, their website, who they are, their story, how they work, how they change lives. So
Mhm.
anybody going through that book will find somebody, I would like to work with that person. So
Mhm.
really, your book is a brilliant like extension of yourself, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's what and again, in sharing that is, and again, I talk about my personal experience with Orla, because I think it's very important. I'm not just picking Orla out of a phone book and saying, here, she'll help you. I'm really trying to share how much that you helped, not just me in publishing my books, but also in the one with 14 authors, because that was huge. But just what you said there as well is they are not just sharing their story, but again, depending on what they want to share, their profession, how they want to help others, they're sharing. Again, if say it's a business and they want to show people what they're offering, but that again, human connection, isn't it, Orla, with who they are as a person, like you on the podcast today, because everyone can see your beautiful headshot and your LinkedIn posts and everything, and they'll go, I know Orla, so I straight away resonate with Orla's posts when I see them. But I think it's to hear your voice, and you have a beautiful accent, Orla, whether you believe it or not, but you're very friendly and very grounded. And again, you're just very real. So when people hear that, they already feel comfortable saying, or maybe I could contact her. She sounds all right.
Yeah, it's funny. It's people. Sometimes people come to me and they're almost half nervous, and I don't know maybe what they think a publisher is like. And I just laugh and go, I know I probably don't sound like a publisher, do I? And I think it just breaks the ice more than anything.
Mm.
And I mean, there's loads of people out there who can do the same job as me, but I think really it's when so anyone is doing their book, it's a very personal experience. It really is, and it's who you want to bring on that journey with you. I think that makes the difference.
Yeah. And I think when it is again, if it's your first time doing it or it's a personal memoir and you have all of the things that you want to share and having somebody there like you, Orla, that is quite compassionate and very caring and supportive, it makes it so much easier. It just makes it feel like you're sharing your story with a new friend who's coming back to say, I love that chapter. Oh my God, that was amazing. And you'll talk about it with them because again from your own experiences in life and say I've gone through that and that affected me in my life, and you're having that conversation and then you're saying, why don't you add another little bit about this or whatever it is, and then again it becomes real and that somebody, and this is where I come back to, is everybody has a story. Everybody's story is important, even if it's out in the World Wide Web or not. Everybody's story matters, and that whatever they're sharing is their words and it's from their heart, and that you're going to honor and respect that because, again, you're a real person at the other end of the phone or through the website. And I just love that authentic, real, supportive, and compassionate energy that you have and that you help us, the authors, feel the minute that we connect with you.
Thank you. No, it's what keeps me going every
Mm.
day as well, is the people I get to work with, because I think, there's a lady I'm working with recently, and she had a beautiful quote which she got from somebody, and it stuck with me. And she said, we're all only really walking each other home.
Mm.
And I can't remember the author now, and I even goosebumps when I'm saying it. I'm going, how true is that?
Mm.
And she's another beautiful person I'm working with. Again, her book, she knows herself, it was structured all wrong. I said, no, I said, you're waiting too long for somebody to get in and get to know the real you and why they should work with you. And we're restructuring her book, and she's delighted. Like she's not living in Ireland anymore. She's living abroad, but again, it's knowing that it was a safe place for her to know she's supported, and I wasn't just going to take her content and publish it. That I really thought into what was going to best serve her and her needs and her clients' needs to structure the best book that's going to be for her and her business.
Yeah. And I think that's so important because, again, obviously, if you're publishing the book, it's a reflection on you also. So you want to have the best for not just the person, but also for yourself so that future clients are going to look and say, oh my God, I loved reading that book. It was structured so beautifully, the cover images, all of those things. And even talking to that person, they might say, how did you actually work with Orla, and if that person, which most of them do come back and say, I'm sure Orla say it was a joy to work with Orla. What more could you want? To somebody say it was a joy to work with you. That's the biggest compliment you could ever get, no matter about anything else.
It is really, because it's just one of those things that just shows, first of all, you're on the right purpose, because I think if I wasn't, that would also come across.
Mm.
So every day, and if anything, I just feel more fired up in doing what I do every day, because I know now that I am aligned with my purpose, and my purpose is to work with beautiful clients who are so authentic, who are so engaging, who are so genuine, and who do want to leave such a positive footprint on humanity. So
Mm.
I'm the lucky one.
Well, we're all lucky. That's the way I look at it. Because again, we need people that have the expertise, Orla, and you're that. So people that are listening to this, Orla, and they've listened to the conversation, and there's a little seed being planted in their head, or maybe that seed was planted a long time ago, and they went, "Oh, I'd love to write my story, but I'm too afraid. Maybe I'm useless." What would you say to them, and how could your 10-week program after Christmas help them?
My 10-week program is very much tailored to my clients. So, and it's what I've seen work over the last 10 years of my publishing. So there's so much in it, but it's in it to so that you actually are supported every step of the way in writing the best book. Okay. So again, there you can either work with me one to one while doing the program, or as part of a group and just get group feedback. But again, knowing that you are supported over the 10 weeks. And again, I will be starting to share links very, very soon for that new program that's launching. And Sharon, I will set you, because actually just for you, I'm actually setting a discount code. Okay, so I will set you a discount code only for people who come through Sharon. Okay, so look, this is just for you, and Sharon doesn't even know about this, but I'm actually just going to send Sharon a special discount code. So anyone who signs up through Sharon will get a special discount code.
Wow,
So
thank you, Orla. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, it's not going to be out there otherwise. Because again, in fairness, working with you and the authors have been an absolute pleasure. And again, I want to help as many people as I can. And, working together to get your story out there. It's Thankfully, I've never met somebody who said, "Oh, I really regret doing that with you." It's always been a very positive experience. And no one can ever take it back from you then when you're a published author. And the amount of people who I have seen gained confidence, gained their zest for life again, gained inspiration to maybe make that change in their life they always want to change. Maybe they got new clients that they wouldn't have gotten before that. They got confidence to maybe change their pricing or go after their goals, get on stage more, because giving their book gave them the confidence to do
Mm,
that. So
yeah.
again, I'm all for supporting and helping my clients, open more doors with their books.
Mm. And I was thinking the exact same thing, and you said it, which just shows we're synchronized and resonating with each other's energy. Because I was saying your book is not just about your story, it's about the doors that it is going to open for you after somebody reads it, that you could be on radio or television, or you could be a guest speaker for certain groups, that it can open up so many doors for you. That I always say, yes, fear is sometimes crippling, but if you let it stop you, you're stopping yourself from exploring what if. What if you wrote it, even if you're scared? What if you reached out to Orla, even if you're afraid of her judging you, which she absolutely will not? And if she said, yes, I can work with you and this is amazing. And what if you went on to publish your book? And what if your life started changing immediately in such positive ways? What if you just took the chance?
Yes, completely. So, I mean, make 2025, actually, for those who even sign up before Christmas, will actually get access to module one, which is the game changer. It's so powerful. And if anything, you will probably have an advantage, because you will be able to go through module one over Christmas, start working on it. So, really hit the ground running
Brilliant.
come January 2025.
Oh, it's so exciting. And you know what? I'm excited for people that haven't been on this journey yet. I still remember the excitement of publishing a book. Of course, there was fear in putting it out there, and that, oh God, I hope people will like it. But again, those fears are soon alleviated because people come back and they're so kind. And, the response we had even from the last book published, Awaken Your Wellbeing, we're still getting such a great response from it, from people reading it and saying, I found such and such a therapist and I never knew about that therapy and I never knew this. And they're learning more and it's opening up their awareness. And again, they have different routes they can take then on their wellness journey. So again, even if you're worried about yourself, I would say think about what message you would like to send out to your readers. What is it you would like your readers to know? What is the information that you hold within you that you think this bit of information could really help people to heal or to grow or to develop or to go on into the world and do something else? And if you just focus on that message, then Orla will help you build around it, where people will want to know you and who are you, the person that is sharing this message. And then they'll go, but where did you start? And how did that happen for you? And then you're already building the chapters of your book, aren't you, Orla?
You absolutely are. And it's just that momentum, then it's keeping it going. But like that's why I'm so mindful of helping people get started. Once
Mm.
you just make a decision and get started, and we just build up the momentum. And I'm giving so much insights so that they will spark that creativity inside of you, so that I have everybody covered people who struggle, people who have it in here but don't know how to put it here, people who get overwhelmed. I have all different strategies that I cover, to help people overcome all the different challenges that they may otherwise have, to ensure that they actually get their book written.
I love it. You know what? If I hadn't written books and I was listening to you, Orla, I think I'd be so excited to contact you and say, I know this might silly, but I have a book I'd like to write. And Orla say, that's not silly at all. Tell me about it.
Yeah, and so even though the page isn't live yet, anybody who is interested, either Sharon, maybe if you send them my details, or even if you do contact me and say, look, I heard about the program on Sharon's podcast or YouTube channel. I'd like to find out more. Can you send me information? And again, then as I say, anyone who goes through Sharon's link will get a special discount code. And again, so really, if you want to come to Sharon, she'll be the first to get that discount code.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. Thank you, Orla. That's so kind. So your 10-week program, you can help people one to one. Is there any other way, say, for people that you can help them if they're not sure what they want to write about? That they might do a lot of different things. You know, the way you hear people and they do lots of different things, but they're not sure what their message really is because they do so much. How could you help them to kind of gain clarity on what the best thing to start with is?
Oh, I even have exercises that I take all my clients through, and they really are for breakthrough clarity. And it's really is about honing in on what's inside here, what fires up their passion, um, what keeps them alive. And really it's about, because again, when you're writing something, it needs to be something that can sustain you, that you feel you could talk forever about when you're on a roll. If you find you can talk about something, but then you run out of steam or stop talking, that's probably not what something that you should write about. You need something that really sustains you, you feel passionate about.
Mhm.
It's what people are saying to you, oh, do you know that your journey, your story, I would love to see that in the book. You're getting feedback from all different people, but like, the universe is also sending you signs. Some clients come to me and they say, I have an idea in my head and it's never leaving my head. It's constantly there, almost like, come on, you need to do this. And they're saying, look, I don't know what I want to do yet, but it's just this voice keeps coming up. And even when I try to push it down, it keeps coming back, it keeps coming back. And, so I'm there to help them, even if they have no idea. Like
Mhm.
one of my current clients had no idea what to write about, and working with me through different sessions was able to now write the best book that's expresses himself in the best possible way and what lights his passion, but also that shows him as an authority, but also that delivers best value to his reader. So it's a win-win for him and it's a win-win for the reader.
I love that. Really powerful. And even when you're talking about passion, you can see and hear your passion, or like when you're talking about it and how you can help people. And again, that's another thing. It's your energy to me that draws people to you once they make that first contact or they see a video of you talking about it. You can see it and feel it in your energy, where you come alive, and it's not just here's another story. You get so involved in that person's story and what they want to write and how best to help them. So you're like the biggest cheerleader. That's what I see you as. It's not just a job for you. You're cheering them on. You're an advocate for their story. You want to help get the best message out there. So again, if there's anybody listening to the podcast that has thought about sharing their story, just contact Orla just for a chat. You do a
Yeah,
complimentary
I
chat
do.
on your website. You can contact Orla and set up a time and she'll chat. And I'll tell you, the minute you chat with her, you'll have forgotten all your fears and you'll be writing all your books. But you also can download a complimentary copy of Three Steps to Publishing Success for Experts to gain visibility and attract clients. These are all free on your website. There's a free masterclass. But again, if you are not sure where to start, the best thing to do would be to contact Orla, tell her you've heard her on the Sharon Fitzmaurice podcast or on YouTube. And if you do go ahead, which I'm sure you will be entitled to a link that Orla has generously given to my listeners, which is really, really kind. Thank you so much, Orla. So,
But
Orla, one thing I always like to ask my clients, if you went back to Orla, as a child dreaming of what she'd like to do in the future, what would you say to her now, as here you are, Orla Kelly Publishing, helping so many people with their ideas, their creativity, their imagination, living their best lives and sharing their stories to the world? What would you say to young Orla?
Oh, I would say, behind every disappointment is a blessing.
Hmm.
I wanted to be a chemical engineer when I was in school. I picked the wrong subjects, but I would never have met my husband if I had gone down the chemical engineering route. It was only by me going down a totally different route where I was contracted to his company up in County Leitrim that I actually met him, where chemical engineering and his company would never even meet. So it just shows you, there are blessings in things that you're upset with at the time, but down the road, I would never have met him at all. I 100% know that. So I now know that behind every disappointment and feeling of letdown, there is something even better on the other side of that for all of us.
And that in itself is a very powerful message, isn't it? It really is. Orla Kelly, as always, it has been a pleasure chatting to you, and you're just amazing. I'm not sure what else I can actually share about you because I think people really have to contact you directly themselves, listen to you, connect with your energy, and I know straight away they'll feel safe in sharing what their message is and what they would like to do, even if they're a little bit nervous about it. But you know what? There's no harm in having a chat. That's all
Absolutely.
it is. Have the chat, help with, those fears or worries or doubts. You've heard me. I'm an ordinary person. We're all ordinary person. We have lived extraordinary things in our lives and done extraordinary things. You may not think they are, but somebody else reading your story is going to look, and I read that somewhere that somebody will read your story that you've shared, and it'll be a survival guide for them as they're going through the things that you've already experienced in your life, that you have come through and that you have healed from and learned from. Somewhere, someone else is where you are maybe 20 years ago or 5 years ago, and they're struggling, and your story could be the stepping stone to helping them move forward.
That is so beautifully put, Sharon. Thank you so much.
Orla Kelly, amazing. So please do check out orlakellypublishing.com. You can also find Orla on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And I will be sharing all of Orla's details in the show notes and also when it goes out over social media. So you can check her out. But please do check her out. And if you are considering, just considering, please just make the phone call. Don't hesitate. Don't procrastinate and don't talk yourself out of it. Just contact Orla immediately and then tell her you've been listening to the podcast and you'll get a little discount and you'll see you might come back in a year's time and say, if I hadn't heard that podcast, the universe was speaking to me and I was listening to Sharon and Orla and the seed planted and now I have a beautiful tree growing and my book is published and I couldn't be prouder. Imagine saying that in a year time. That'd be lovely.
That would be beautiful. And you know what? The person could pat themselves on the back and say, I did it.
It is amazing. It is amazing. Again, coming from someone that's published the books, it is the most amazing feeling. And one of the things I can tell you, if there was never anybody that read my books, my story is there now forever for my children, my great grandchildren, and generations to come. My words are now etched out into the world. Isn't that amazing?
It is. It is. It's like blossoms. I mean, your books are out there long after, so it's really their
Yeah.
legacy books, aren't they?
Yes,
They're powerful
absolutely.
legacy books for generations to appreciate and learn from. I mean, what books are a beautiful blessing, really, aren't they?
Oh, they are. And often what I think about Orla, and I know, see, this I could talk forever about books, but I think go in. I was saying this to, I don't know, one of my children or somebody else the other day. I was saying, long after I'm gone, and even after you're gone, I said, and maybe books, might not be found quite easily. We don't know what the future is going to bring if you were looking at sci-fi movies. But I said, someone will find a book, and it could be your book, and they look back and say, wow, look how they were living.
Yes, I mean, I have a beautiful collection of books on my bookshelf, and again, like what I love is even if you're say pick the fifth book from the top shelf on the left, I could pick it up and I would know in my head what the author looks like, what they're like personality. I could tell you about them. I could tell you about the story, but I could also tell you about the person behind the book because the person behind the book to me is just as important as the book.
It's so true. I love that. We're getting an insight into people's lives that they've had the generosity of spirit to share with the world. And it's a beautiful gift. So, again, share your beautiful story with the world. I promise you'll be so happy you did. Orla Kelly, a pleasure always talking to you. And I'm so delighted I had to get you on the podcast. I appreciate your time, your passion, and all of the things that you offer to the world because they've been so helpful to me. And I know that many people will benefit from them also. So I wish you every success for the future in your publishing.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
So thank you everybody for listening again. So orlakellypublishing.com. Please do go and check it out today. The minute you've heard this podcast, just go into the link, find it, and contact Orla. You can have a free consultation call or you can email her. Maybe you're not sure what that story is that you want to share, but just say that. Say, I want to share, but I'm not sure how to share or what exactly my message is. Orla will help you. So until next time, take care of you. We'll see you then.